it's a common experience to have an amazing idea pop up in your head, and then you don't chase the idea, you don't act on it, you don't make it a reality, only watch as it fades into darkness. But what role does the fear of criticism play in this? Why is it a primitive response from our brains? And how can we minimize the effect it has in our judgment? Well, I think we can all agree that the birth of an idea is an exciting moment. It's a spark of creativity, a glimpse into the world of possibilities. But, too often, that spark is extinguished before it even has a chance to shine. We've seen why this happens, the fear of criticism. But what's the reason as to why this fear sometimes almost acts as an invisible wall, impeding us to accomplish our dreams and goals? Well, it turns out we are actually wired to seek approval and avoid rejection. The mere thought of our ideas being met with disapproval can send us into a spiral of self-doubt. I mean, it makes sense, because if we go back to our primal days, fear of criticism was real and very well justified. Because if you got kicked out of a group or a tribe, death was inevitable. You wouldn't be able to hunt or scavenge for food all alone. Let me illustrate this. Imagine there are two characters, right? You have John and then you have Adam, okay? Both John and Adam are physically similar. The difference? Well, Adam lives in the primal era and John lives in the present. So let's say back in those ancient times, Adam gets in an argument with another person from his group or his tribe. He feels like this person doesn't add anything to his life, so he wants to get away from him. But it's not like the rest of the tribe is just gonna follow him. No, if he wants to get away from that person, that meant leaving the tribe altogether. Thankfully though, our brains have this system in place called fear of criticism. As a result of that, Adam will start questioning himself. He'll probably start thinking, well, if I do leave the tribe, what will the others think? Will they think that I left because I was scared of the other person? As a result of this, the fear of criticism plays its role and Adam stays in the tribe, which means he survives. Cool. Fast forward a couple thousand years. Nowadays, things have changed. Our environments have changed. But what about our brains? Yeah, unfortunately, those don't evolve that quickly. We're pretty much still wired the same way as we were back in those days. So it makes sense that fear of criticism is so present in our choice making. It was a lifesaver mechanism. Nowadays though, it's become more of a hindrance to deal with than anything else. If we apply the same example to John, he would get the same outcome. However, in John's case, his fear of criticism was completely unjustified. He lives in 2024. There is no death if John leaves the group. So what makes John stay in the group? His reputation. Yeah, one of the most important things in the present day. What's ridiculous is that people are willing to live an unsatisfied life just to maintain their reputation. You'll start playing it safe because you're afraid of what will happen on the other side of the critique. You'll fear being ridiculed or rejected. You won't go for that promotion because you won't think you are qualified. When challenged, you'll start conforming to what others may or may not think. Eventually, you'll harm your potential. This is why so many people give in to the fear. We imagine all the ways our ideas could be torn apart. And so, rather than face the possibility of failure, we choose the safety of inaction. Our ideas remain dormant, never given the chance to flourish. And just like that, another idea straight to the cemetery before even being brought to life. So, how can we overcome this fear of being criticized by others? Well, firstly, surround yourself with supportive voices who believe in your potential. Could be trusted mentors or your peers. This is easier said than done, because sometimes the ones we are closest with and the ones we love the most are the first to criticize our ideas and our passions. Listen, I'm not saying that they don't want what's best for us. What I am saying is that they probably don't want to see you suffer. And most of the times, a new idea or a new passion always brings the risk of failure, and failure brings pain, and pain brings suffering. And we've come full circle. It all starts with a shift in mindset. Instead of seeing criticism as a condemnation, simply see it as a stepping stone on your path. And if people keep doubting you, all you have to say to yourself is, what if? What if I make it work, despite everything that's against me? What if you're able to get there, despite all the doubting? This simple question allows you to keep moving forward when doubting starts creeping into your mind. Another thing I do every day before going to bed is to minimize the importance of my actions. I go outside and start by looking at the horizon. Then I follow it up by looking at the moon, and then finally looking at the stars. This allows me to contemplate just how small we really are, and if I'm worried about the repercussions that a certain action could have, I'm not sure why, but this sort of ritual really does put my mind at ease. While I do this, I just imagine what the view would look like from the sun's point of view. From there, the earth is simply, just a floating rock with some stars on the background. All of a sudden, the criticism I was so afraid of a couple minutes before now seems meaningless when compared to these huge bodies of mass. And lastly, remember that most of the friction you experience is in your head. If you're overweight and you had the amazing idea of entering a gym, but you're afraid of what the people at the gym will think of you, guess what? You're making up problems in your head. People are too focused on their own life for that. And even if, in the rare event that someone does criticize you in their head, 1, they're an idiot. 2, who cares? All that matters is that you're doing something beneficial to you. And you can extrapolate this to anything. If you want to start that side hustle, but are afraid of failing and being criticized, just do it. Because I'll tell you what, as long as you don't give up, that failure is still temporary. At the end of the day, you gotta make a choice. Would you rather pursue your dreams and perhaps look ridiculous in the eyes of other people? Or would you rather live with the feeling of regret, knowing every single day that you had a dream and were too afraid to pursue it? At that point, the question, what if, is no longer motivational. No, it becomes torture. What if I had chased my dreams when I was younger? Where could I possibly be by now? One of the saddest things that can happen to you is when you have that click, when that light bulb goes off in your head and you take no action to make it a reality. You just let the flame get extinguished. To finish this off, I'll leave you with this. Do you know what is the number one regret of people on their deathbeds? I wish that I had the courage to live the life that aligns with my true self, instead of living the life that others expected of me.